Well, it is time for our scrimmage. We've got the old team. And taking a look for the Maroon team, it's Mo Walker, Rodney Williams, Joe Coleman, Julian Welch, along with Wally Ellenson.
All right, and Coleman just
right off the
knifes his way right to the basket, lays it up and in. Very athletic player. It was good to see him, really start to come on later in the season as he got more and more comfortable, both him and Andre Hollins, really starting to find their stride in the second half of that season.
Oceanics can't handle it, and again, it's Joe Coleman. Real quick for the gold team, it's Andre Hollins, Austin Hollins, Otto Oceanics, Elliot Eliason, and Andre Ingram. Like that backcourt for the gold team, you got the two Hollins. A little bit more meat in the front court with Walker and Williams. Foul is whistled. It'll send Andre Hollins to the free throw line. It's something he's very proficient at. Andre Hollins last season, 90% from the free throw line. I guess we aren't going to do free throws, but 90% from the free throw line. He's one of those players, John, you can cut him to the basket, let him use his speed, let him get to the free throw line. And if you want to talk about a way to close out games, you put a 90% shooter at the line. That's one way to go about it.
Well, and he did that late in the season and in the NIT tournament. He hit some big free throws, some game-winning free throws for Minnesota. So he's got the confidence, great free throw shooter, and something you can't discount that, whether it's, driving, getting fouled, the opportunity for three-point plays, and to close out games, like you said.
There's Andre Ingram with the dunk. Ingram, the senior out of Minneapolis. Saw more action later on in the season, especially after Mbakwe's injury. Ingram, not the flashiest of players, but at 6'7", brings a great frame in the middle, a very strong physical player. Now here's a fast break. Hollins to Hollins connection, and Ingram can't finish it off.
Boy, you really like to see that, though. The steal out on the perimeter by Minnesota, and then the Hollins twins, we could call them, getting out and running like that and trying. They didn't space the floor as well as Tubby probably would have liked, hence the reason that Andre ended up with kind of an awkward shot there at the end. But just great to see those two teaming up. And that perimeter defense for Minnesota, we talked about it with Mike Grimm. I think that's going to be very interesting to watch. They've got the big guys inside. They led the league in blocks a year ago. Trevor is back. You bring Mo back, Elliott. Those guys can hold down the paint, but can the guys out on the perimeter do a better job locking things up and then not allowing guys to get in, draw fouls maybe, and go into some of those bigs?
How about the three for Ellenson? Wally with his first three as the Golden Gopher. Granted, this one doesn't count. It's just a scrimmage, but we see some of that touch from the left-hander. Not so much from Austin on that.
I think Austin got fouled. I think Ellenson came over and caught a piece of him because, boy, I don't think we've seen Austin Hollins airball a shot like that all night.
No.
Thinking back to last year, I don't know that we saw it very often either.
Vince Taylor coaching the Maroon team. Tubby's hanging out in the middle. It looks like Saul Smith and Ron Jersa calling the shots for the gold team.
Not bad, Rodney.
Yeah, Rodney, and that's a spot where he has yet to really come into his own as a player, is with that outside jump shot. But boy, wouldn't Rodney Williams be a complete player if he could hit the outside J.
Boy, and the Maroon team just running roughshod over the gold team. Another great steal right there by Joe Coleman. I thought that was very impressive. Watching him last year, how quickly he picked up the defensive schemes. And, he's not the tallest guy, but he's built very well, and he can play a couple different styles and isn't afraid to bang inside.
And a nice ovation in Williams Arena. It's a good sight to see. Big number 32, Trevor Mbakwe, back for his sixth season after suffering that knee injury last year against Dayton.
Well, and true to form, Tubby bringing him off the bench. He talked about that, said Trevor's probably going to be our sixth man as they start the season, and Trevor talked about that this afternoon, saying he's ready, and he expected to come off the bench to start the year.
And that's a good spot for him to shake off some rust, John, but you see the moves, the low post moves of Mbakwe and the scoring touch of the veteran, and I would imagine if Trevor Mbakwe is healthy, look at there, you see him blocking a shot on Elias and coming in again. That would have been a foul, but let's face facts. If Trevor's playing for Minnesota, if he's healthy, come the Big Ten season, he's going to be in the starting five.
Oh, you would imagine. And a lot of the projections, too, that you see about this team they see a front court of Trevor Mbakwe and Rodney Williams. So Trevor would play that center spot. Rodney would be at the 4, where he saw so much success late in the season last year after Trevor's injury. And, boy, you talk about the two of them, and I know we've mentioned it multiple times on the broadcast tonight, but that is a very dangerous front court. I mean, the way Trevor can rebound the basketball, the way Rodney can finish plays at the rim, those two, in the conversation, that would be a very dangerous front court for Minnesota.
Nice move there by Coleman. Now, talking about these two teams, we talked about the freshmen coming in. We've seen Bugs connect on an outside shot. We've seen Ellenson do the same, but you mentioned it. 16-4 right now in favor of the Maroon team.
And I just really like what Joe Coleman did late in that season last year, and I want to see how it'll translate into this season. He needs to become a better finisher, and I think we saw glimpses of it last year. If he can be a better finisher around the rim, because he's got that quick step, he can get to the basket. We've seen some nice finishes from him tonight. If he can add that to his game and continue to develop that, the way he plays defense and the way he crashes a glass, he's going to be a fun player to watch.
And you see Ellenson on that fast break.
He didn't make a single dunk during the dunk contest, but he got that one.
And a great shot right back at you, freshman to freshman. That time it was Bugs. But no, you were talking about Joe Coleman and what kind of opportunities he'll have this season. To me, the departure of Chip Armland opens up a new door for Joe Coleman, because to me, in my eyes, they're very comparable in their skill set. I mean, both super athletic. Neither of them have a great outside touch. So I got to think there's going to be more opportunities for Joe Coleman to be that spark, one of the first few guys off of the bench for Tubby.
Absolutely. And, Chip was one of the guys who could create shots for himself, but he was also a guy that sometimes got into that mode. If he hit his first couple, that's just what he was doing. And I think Joe Coleman, at least from what I saw a year ago, much more involved in the offense in terms of moving the ball, making sure that, if he's got the open shot, he'd take it, but moving the ball to finish things off, and a nice finish right there.
Well, right now the gold team down 22-7, and Eliasson's going to come back in for the gold team. Rodney will come in for the Maroon team. But you want to talk about why they trail by so many right now. Turnovers.
Oh, without a doubt.
They've turned over the ball over and over again. And I know this is a scrimmage. I know this isn't the real thing. But turnovers, let's face facts, were an issue for Tubby Smith's team last season, especially in Big Ten play. Yeah,
they averaged just over 18 turnovers a game a year ago. And it's interesting to see that the gold team's turning the ball over, because they've got the starting point guard in Andre Hollins out there. So you'd expect that gold team with the backcourt of Andre Hollins and Austin Hollins to be taking better care of the ball. But, also give credit to Joe Coleman. He's gotten up in the passing lanes. He's pressured the ball as it's come across midcourt, and he has gotten after both those guards and forced some turnovers, gotten some easy looks.
Let's keep it on Andre Hollins right now, because Tubby talked a lot about him today in his media day press conference. This is a guy who put up superb numbers in the NIT tournament, came on and was getting headlines all around the country for his play. We know he has the speed. We know he can put the ball in the cylinder. But Tubby seemed to think that he's making a lot of great progress in his sophomore season. And, John, slowing down his game. And normally you wouldn't tell somebody to slow down, but sometimes for Andre, that's the right recipe for success.
And he even brought that up at Media Day when I was chatting with him this afternoon. He said one thing he's learning how to do, there's two things that he wanted to focus on this offseason. Wow.
Nice shot.
At 6'8". Athletic. We saw him in the dunk contest. Moves well for a guy 6'8", but boy, how about the outside shot? But getting back to Andre Hollins, he said during the offseason he wanted to learn and work on being more vocal out there on the court, being more of a vocal leader. And then outside shot to outside shot.
Let's save a few of these for the regular season, gentlemen.
But the other thing Hollins said is he wants to be able to slow the game down, use his speed, and know when to use his speed. And it's that change of pace, it's that tempo that can really throw defenses off, where 1 minute you get into the front court, you slow down, you get into the offense, you move the ball. The next time down, you start to do that. Then you put your foot to the gas, and you're able to blow right by the defender. It's very similar to what NFL running backs, college running backs, they have that stop-start ability. Andre's got the speed, and if he can harness that speed and use it with that start-stop, with the change of pace, I think he's going to be a very, very dangerous player.
The gold team still struggling to find any kind of rhythm. at all. This is Chris Halverson. Seldom used player for Tubby, but Chris Halverson out of St. Paul, Minnesota, redshirted junior. Only played 15 minutes last year, but a player that fans who follow high school ball in Minnesota remember very well, playing on those great teams at Henry Sibley High School.
It's where I went to school, Henry Sibley. Watch Trevor play, watch Halverson play. Some very good players coming out of Henry Sibley in recent years.
What a first half, albeit a scrimmage for Charles Buggs. A dunk, a couple of threes. He had probably the best dunk of the night in the dunk competition. Here you go, get a look at it as Buggs takes off.
Kid has been very, very impressive. 6'8", but he stands, it almost seems even taller than that, maybe 6'9". The way he looks, standing next to Trevor Mbakwe, he was noticeably taller than Trevor Mbakwe this afternoon. And, boy, the outside shot, the finish at the rim, looks like he's going to be a very fun player to watch. And I think what's encouraging about the freshman for Tubby Smith is in the media conference he had this afternoon, he said, we're not going to make a decision on redshirting them until the first game of the year. But he said, at this moment in time, they don't think either of those guys are going to be redshirted. So they're going to be able to push for spots on this team and to try and get minutes. And boy, Buggs was a very fun player to watch in that 10-minute scrimmage.
Well, that's going to wrap up our coverage of Gopher All-Star Friday Night. We saw a lot of great play. We saw Buggs with the big dunk. We saw Julian Welch making the threes. Otto Oceanix and Keona Kellogg winning the two-ball competition. And more than anything, John, it's just great to have basketball back at Williams Arena. The exhibition season starts on November 1st at home against Minnesota State Mankato. After that, it's Southwest Baptist. And then on November 9th, the regular season begins with a home matchup against American, and we'll have that for you right here on the Big Ten Digital Network. John, a lot of fun tonight. Just your takeaway, your final thoughts as we look forward to the 2012-2013 Golden Gopher basketball season.
Well, I think there's a lot of excitement surrounding this team. The expectations are high, probably more so internally than externally. These guys saw what they could do down the stretch a year ago. They feel that that's going to be able to help propel them into this season. They want to be a better conference team. They feel that they've got the tools and hopefully the health to become a better conference team. They also feel that they've got size inside now with Trevor back and with Mo back to match up with some of the other Big Ten teams. So a lot of excitement surrounding this team. Expectations are high, and I think we're as excited as they are to get this season underway.
Can't wait, friend. It's going to be a lot of fun.